Hey you guys, Trilient here, bringing you a first impressions review of Zenonia S for Android. Zenonia S is the online action RPG variant of the Zenonia series developed by Gamevil. Zenonia S hasn't been received very well by fans of other games in the series, but overall has a positive rating on the Play Store. As someone that actually hasn't yet played any of the other games in this series, I will not be comparing their features and differences. This review will treat the game as if it were a standalone game that others might enjoy having not played the rest of them. So, without further ado, this is Zenonia S. As it turns out, recording games on Android devices is a bit more difficult than I imagined, and for some reason I can't get games audio to record with the video. I'll do my best to fix that in the future. However, let's continue on with the review. Zenonia S is actually a game I've been playing for a few weeks now, so I thought it'd be a good choice to start this new series off with. It shares a lot of similarities to other MMORPG games, but the reason I'm defining it as an online action RPG is because for the most part, you're going to be playing it alone. Sure, there is world chat and other social interactions, but as far as I can tell you can't party up with other players, with the exception of raiding, but that's all pretty basic stuff. The game has a real-time combat system similar to the Zelda games, where you aim in a direction you want to attack and have at it. You can also set it to auto attack or auto skill, which for all intents and purposes are the same thing. One will just include skills and the other is basically a bot mashing the attack button. There's 6 playable classes: Paladin, Slasher, Ranger, Fighter, Magician, and Assassin, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. Personally though, I chose the Magician because I kinda like the glass cannon mentality when I play MMOs. Character progression is pretty straightforward. You complete stages and quests to gain experience. The more experience you gain, the higher level you will become. Each time you level up, you'll gain stat points and skill points to add to your character to become stronger. You can pretty much customize your character's stats any way you want. Where this game really shines, at least in my opinion, is the gear progression. Your gear will grow with your character. You can use the same gear you start off with all the way to endgame with proper upgrades and customizations. There's definitely a grind in Zenonia S, especially for new gear. Luckily, there's no level requirement for any piece of equipment. You rank up your equipment by upgrading it to the next tier 5 times. All that useless gear you pick up in each stage actually has a purpose. It's fodder for upgrading. However, you can also deconstruct it for evolution points. Evolution points are used to bring your gear up to the next class, and aside from using evolution points, you can also use Zen and crystals to do the same thing. Zen is the paid cash currency in Zenonia S, and crystals you get from events, missions, and daily through the world tree. I managed to get lucky and get a pretty high rank weapon early on through one of the events, and I've been hoarding daily world tree crystals for a while now. Aside from just your main equipment, there's also accessories which have the same type of progression as other gear. Accessories, however, only use other accessories to upgrade. You also get fairies and battle pets which add passive stats to your character. Battle pets can also be summoned in for a short period of time, kind of like an extra ability. They'll either buff, heal, or attack for you. Their passive abilities and stats persist even when they're not equipped to your character. Let's talk about a few of the game modes, because I'm actually a bit disappointed with the PvP options I've been given so far. PvP is not real time. You face off against another player's avatar, but they are controlled by AI. I know this because not once throughout any of my PvP matches have I actually ever been sent a request for PvP. In the versus mode, you choose to fight up to 5 opponents, and most of them will be a much higher level than you. You also have a defense record which shows how many times you've been challenged by other players and whether or not you've won. But when you're challenged, you don't actually play the match yourself. It's just a computer controlled version of your avatar, and you only get to see the statistics of the match afterwards. There are other modes you can play as well which aren't PvP. They have boss raids, which so far are pretty much the only other interaction with real players I've seen aside from the hub world. There's also a mode called Fairy Tower, which is essentially just another set of stages for you to complete with a boss at the end of each floor. Fairy Tower is also the primary means of upgrading your fairy, as the rewards you get are things like fairy dust. Just like all the other equipment in the game, you can cannibalize other fairies you receive in order to strengthen your own. Every day when you log into the game, you get free items through daily prizes. As the day progresses, you will be offered chances to log in for certain rewards. You aren't required to buy anything from the cash store to play the game, however, there's going to be a huge difference between you and other players if you don't. There is definitely an element of pay to win in Zenonia S. You can buy golden experience right from the cash store for ridiculous prices. There are cheaper options though. I did test out the $5 Zentopia membership, and it's really not a bad deal. You get 200 Zen for the initial purchase, and an additional 60 daily Zen for a month. You get your first 60 on the same day as the purchase, so essentially you get 260 Zen right off the bat. You can get free Zen for completing certain achievements or missions as well, but they are few and far between. There are several other things I didn't cover in this video, like Brawling or Castle Defense, which is a brand new game mode that I'm not exactly a high enough level to play. But overall, this has been my experience with Zenonia S. I absolutely love the gear progression. In my opinion, it's the highest point of the game. If you don't spend any money on it though, that's fine. You will get by. You're gonna have a hard time keeping up with the rest of the player base though, unless you manage to get lucky and get some decent equipment early on. I'm also not fond of the route they went with PvP. I don't know how things get at endgame, so maybe that will change, but personally, I'm not a fan of it. Zenonia S is a good game for killing time, but I wouldn't say it's a solid choice for a mobile MMO. There are definitely better options out there that I'll be covering at a later date, by the way. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more, go ahead and click that like button, and why don't you go ahead and subscribe too. I'd also like to talk about a brand new website I'm working on right now called droidkingdom.com. Eventually it's going to be the best thing to hit Android gaming since the invention of Android games, but right now it's kind of just a very bare bones website. You're free to go check it out though. That is droidkingdom.com. I think there's like one review on the website right now. Yeah, it's pretty empty and the design is not complete and everything about it's not complete really, but I just thought I'd let you guys know that that's happening. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.